Listen to your body. That is really, really important. So I'm health and fitness expert Andrea Schneider, and we're going to talk today a little bit about why it's important to listen to your body. And I've got my good friend Karen visiting us from Arizona, the wonders of technology, and she's going to also be talking about listening to your body. Karen, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Andrea. How's it going with you?
Good, good. So I want to talk a little bit about a recent injury that I acquired, and then we'll kind of go from there. Karen and I, we don't script these, so we kind of just, have a conversation. We have some points we want to share with you, and then we kind of share up from our hearts. So recently I realized I had some pain in the bottom of my left foot, and I kind of didn't really pay attention. It hurt more when I got out of bed, especially the first steps in the day, and I didn't really connect what it was, so I wasn't listening to my own body. And then I finally realized that it was plantar fasciitis. So not fun, looked it up, talked to a couple of doctor friends about it and some other holistic type people, and realized that I need to back off some of the things that I normally do, like the running 3 miles a day, 3 times a week, and that maybe I'm going to make my injury worse as opposed to better. And I kept thinking, oh, well, it feels good while I'm running, so running can't be hurting it. But then realized that it actually feels good because it's getting stretched then, but then it really hurts later. So sometimes we need to back up and then listen and then heal, and then we can start again. Otherwise, if we do too much, overdo it, we can take ourselves out of the game. And so for me, I'm all about consistent, good health, feeling good, doing exercise and movement that keep us going and feeling better and better. So you don't want to injure yourself even worse. So Karen, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think when it comes to injury, again, it just depends on, what school of thought you go to. So if you go to the medical industry, for instance, they're going to look at it more like a symptom type thing. Okay, so you're dealing with this fasciitis. What are the symptoms? And then, they're able to take those symptoms and put them towards a drug. Perhaps.
Right.
If you were to go and see, a chiropractor is going to look at your body and see what bones and possibly even some of the muscles surrounding it, how they're out of balance and do some correction. If you were to go to a holistic practitioner, just let's say, and I'm not talking about a nutritionist, I'm just talking about a holistic practitioner, they're going to look at mind, body, soul. So we have this physical problem, but we also have an emotional level to this problem as well. So just like you said, Andrea, we have to look at both parts of it. There's a message that's being said there, and we need to start tuning into our body.
Right. And so for me, like I realized a few months ago about the same time this happened, that I need to slow down. Like, who really cares if I run a 10-minute mile versus a 9-minute? What's the grand significance? So if, I'm doing it, I'm not getting hurt, and I feel good at the 10-minute or 11-minute pace or whatever it may be. And this relates to you as our listeners and watching, whatever it is that you're doing, feel good when you're doing it. You don't want to take yourself to the point of injury that you can't do it. So, but it is the mind connection as well. And you don't want to also be like letting your mind rule things where you're just making excuses. Oh, got this little pain and I'm just not going to exercise at all because I just really don't want to. That's different. So I'm not talking about just making excuses, but I'm really talking to listening to your feelings, your emotions, your actual physical feelings, your physical joint pains or non-joint pains. You know the difference between when you feel good and when something's wrong. And what I've realized, like something like this, so it starts out maybe my foot or whatever ailment you may have. It starts out with something small. And then when you don't pay any attention to it, sometimes it goes away, and that's great, that's ideal. But if we make it worse, then the next thing you know, it's spreading up your legs. So then today my calf kind of hurts, then my knee, and then it goes to your hip, and then you're kind of compensating on one side for some pain that you've got, say, on your left leg. So then next thing you know, your right hip hurts, and then you're all out of whack. So have you ever seen that with some of your clients, Karen?
Yeah, absolutely. But if it's something that, you've done everything physically, so you would want to look at minerals just to make sure that you've got the proper minerals in place. So if there's anything going on with the bone, there's an inflammatory process. So what can we remove for that inflammatory process? We also want to look at the minerals. So is there a deficiency of magnesium? Magnesium, if there's a deficiency, can cause a type of calcification in your bones. But if it's continuing to go on and we've tried everything physically and, structure sound, then we have to start looking at the emotional connections to that. So heel problems in particular are about shock absorber, because that's what your heels do, is they absorb the shock, especially when you're running. So some of the things that come up is like a careening canyon, shock absorber for the family, both within and without the intimate family world. So if it was somebody that I was working with as a somatic intuitive trainer, I would say, okay, tell me a little bit about your perception of family. Are you the breadwinner right now? Do you feel that you have to be the breadwinner? And yours in particular is left heel base problem. And not that I'm going to go into fasciitis. I hate that word. Left heel problems are more about feeling adrift, a sense of adrift, not really knowing what's important, what to focus on. And so it sort of comes right back to, if you are the family support, we have to look at where the family dynamics is breaking down. And feet in general is about moving forward. So if there's a problem with moving forward and you've got this pain of moving forward, we would then want to look into why you're dealing with this problem of moving forward, if you will.
And that all makes perfect sense, Karen, what you're saying. And I think if you're watching us for a while, you probably realize Karen and I, and many people like us, we look kind of more at the root cause. And literally your feet are kind of the roots of going into the ground. So when you have an ailment or an injury, our modern Western medicine often wants to just prescribe medication to mask the symptoms. But more holistic type people are looking like, you've got this, you've got that. Why do you have that? What is causing it? What's going on in your mind, your body, your soul? How does it all integrate together? And really what we're trying to do is create balance. In a perfect world, there's balance in so many ways. You've got balance of, symmetry of your body, but also balance of your mind, soul, spirit, and all the little facets of the details. And you're right, Karen, like lately I feel like I'm kind of lacking focus, all those details of all the things I'm trying to get done. So, and what's interesting too, something that you said, and I didn't think about it until the other day, the day that I noticed that my foot started hurting was about 3 months ago. It was the day that I had been running at the lake. I ran 3 miles and then I lost something that was very dear to me. A necklace that was my great grandmother's, and it fell off when I was running, and I retraced my steps for 3 miles and I couldn't find it. And on the way back of that 3 miles, that's when I started the very first time I noticed that pain starting. And then I thought, oh, well, it's just because I ran 3 miles and walked 3 miles, but it probably has more to do with other things than just the mileage I put on. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we were working together, I would have you go in and we would start with that necklace and, what that necklace represents for you and how that necklace represents the perception of family and your role in that perception of family. So yeah, it's absolutely amazing. People do not realize that we aren't just a physical structure, we are an emotional structure as well. And if you take it down to a molecular level, our cells vibrate. You go beneath the nucleus and it's vibration. So our entire body is not just a chemistry makeup, but it's also an energy of vibration. So when something's out of whack, sure, like I said, we can look at the physical, but let's also look at the emotional as well. What vibration is out of alignment for you? So if it was you and I working together, I would probably start with that necklace, because that necklace represented something that you believe in your overall perception of your family.
Right, right. And so going back to listening to your own body and listening to your mind. So to you, what does that look like, listening to your body, Karen?
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, look at illnesses and diseases today. There are tons and tons of symptoms, and those symptoms can sometimes be there for years. But the symptoms are your body's way of telling you, hey, something's not right. We need to fix this. So is it a nutrient deficiency? Is it something that we need to change in our environment? What type of chemicals are we bringing in? But the symptoms are there. And you just have to pay attention to those symptoms. And once you start tuning in, like you talked about your necklace, but I talked about family structure and how, moving forward or feeling balanced is also what's going on in your world right now. So suddenly we've taken those symptoms that you're dealing with, the pain associated with this symptom on your foot, and now you're relating it to what's going on in your environment, your world, and you're starting to make those connections already.
Right. So kind of a mind, body, soul, spirit, all of it connected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And the goal is, we all are human. We've got a million things going on. And sometimes we just need to be a little bit introspective and focus on what's going on inside. And what does that look like to maybe slow down, to listen to our own body, to listen. And I know Karen's big on gut health, but we talk about like gut instincts. So what does that look like? We've gone away. We spend so much time on the internet, and there's so many things grabbing our attention, but sometimes we need to go back to the inside and internal feelings, what we want, and maybe just spend some downtime and think about that.
Well, that's the cool part too, Andrea, is I just really believe that whether it's your heel pain that you're dealing with, that's literally taking you out of the race, right?
Right.
Or you've been diagnosed with an illness or a disease, I think that you and people who have been given a diagnosis are really the lucky ones, because now your body is forcing you to put yourself first. Your body is saying to you, look, for the last 10, 15, 20 years, I have been trying to get your attention and you have not been listening. So I had to manifest this pain or this illness or this disease so that you will listen to me and put me first, so that you can fix it, so that you can correct it. And look at all of the people all over the world who have healed themselves, reversed diseases, reversed illnesses. Why? Because they paid attention to the symptoms and exactly what you said, the underlying cause. Get to that underlying cause, whether it's physical or emotion, but believe it or not, they go together. But if you're willing to work on the physical and you get good results, and that's great, sometimes the emotional will just correct on itself, or sometimes you have to start with the emotional and the physical will correct.
Right. And I agree with you. And when I was diagnosed with breast cancer 9 years ago, I was just looking at the symptom aspect, and I never connected what was going on emotionally. And, sometimes I still don't completely know that I did do that. But I agree. And I've realized that there is more of that connection than I ever would have thought or would have appreciated or would have understood. So what we're talking about was something so foreign to me 9 years ago. And once I got diagnosed, my whole life changed, like you just mentioned. And I realized I did need to take care of my health, and I need to make that a priority. And sometimes maybe looking back in the 9 years, maybe I made that too much of a priority. And goes that whole balance wheel again of trying to stay in balance with everything. So it all makes sense. There's so many variables and pieces, but we do the best we can every day.
And what's breast cancer all about? I mean, I can literally tell you the emotional connections to left and right, but in general, breast cancer is about nurturing. And that's why women tend to get breast cancer more than men, because men can get breast cancer as well, but it's about nurturing. Women do not nurture themselves. They nurture everyone else. They put themselves second. And breast cancer is about saying, look, you need to start nurturing yourself. And so you're not paying attention. I'm going to make you pay attention. You need to nurture yourself now. That's what it comes down to.
That's right. So, all right, we've had a nice conversation. I hope people have enjoyed watching this, and look below for our links of how to connect with us on Facebook and different social media and our websites. Karen and I both teach courses. We'd love to have you as a student one of these days. This is a little bit of what we do, what we've talked about today. Maybe it's a little touchy-feely for you, but we go into more other content of other things that aren't quite as touchy-feely as this one today. But I think this is important, and hopefully you can relate to what we're saying and carry it on to whatever you may be in your life, whether it's injury, illness, disease, or if you're feeling great, stay that way and keep pushing yourself just a little more every day to keep staying in the game and feeling great. Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's
get
used to touchy-feely.
Let's get used to touchy-feely. Okay. Yeah. As an attorney, this has been something totally new for me, and a whole new mindset and whatever. I wasn't taught to be touchy-feely in all my years of school. But,
and you know what, Andrea, we could even go into that in another video. I would love to do that, because if there's one thing, attorneys are really interesting, because attorney work is not about emotional. It's about black and white. So it's really interesting that everything you've gone through.
Right. And even like I look back at the book that I wrote on breast cancer, which was published 5 years ago, It's not touchy-feely. And I remember someone reading it saying, is there an emotional component to this? And really, when I was going through breast cancer, the way I got through it is I had to put kind of my attorney hat on and be very objective and say, okay, if a client came to me with this situation, how would I help her make decisions? And when I wrote my book, that's very much how I wrote the book. So if I wrote a book today, which I'm being encouraged to do by several people, it would be totally a different book than when I put out 5 years ago. And that's just the evolution of who we become and how we change.
And that was your nurturing. That was that you were your own doctor and your own nurturing by writing that book.
Right. In some ways, yes. Yes. So, okay, we'll talk to you soon. Again, Andrea Schneider and Karen Langston, and we hope to connect with you, and we hope to bring you value. So let us know what you want us to talk about. Talk to you soon. All right. Bye. Karen.
Bye.